So, good morning to the viewers of Hlonipani Global News. I find you well, wherever you are. And today we are I think this channel diversifies. You get to get inspiration from the Word of God, current affairs, business. And today I just want to be tackling the issue that is affecting the African continent, us as Africans, particularly on the African continent. And specifically, I'm looking at why is it Africa is actually easily affected, especially by Western bullying and other countries, and also manipulated by Eastern countries as such as Chinese, your Russia, your Belarus, nothing to offer, but actually can easily manipulate Africa. And I'll be making a case of agriculture. One thing as Africans we have actually come short is that we undermine agriculture. In fact, not only agriculture, we undermine production. If you look what we are busy doing these days as Africans, it's good to educate our children, but also the nature of the education system that we give to our children. If you compare Western countries vis-a-vis African countries, the kind of curriculum that is being taught at school, children are taught actually to be creative. You see, children are taught to be productive, but on the African continent, we are not doing so. We are only teaching our children to go and look for employment. Who will create that employment for our children? Most of us in Africa who are working, we are working for a white man. That is the honest truth. We rely on a white man to provide a job for us and they give us peanuts. Some of the companies that you are working at, they are making, more than 10 million a day. But you a week, you are just given maybe less than 1.3 according to the minimum wage of South Africa. That is the money that these companies are actually giving you. But are we worthy it? I think the generation of Mzilikazi and Lopengula, as well as Chaka, was quite better than this generation. And why am I saying so? In terms of production. When the white men came to Africa, those people were productive. Today, I'm asking myself, how many people in their rural areas are actually producing something? They eat broiler chickens. Look at the chickens that we eat on a daily basis. They are transported either from Brazil, either from the West. And those chickens, we don't know how they are actually produced, but we consume. The chickens that you buy on these retail outlets, I don't want to mention their names so that I don't get into trouble. Those chickens, most of them, they are not produced in Africa. They are produced outside Africa. Something that we can do as Africans, produce our own chickens. And then I'm speaking about something that I'm doing, because someone will say, hey, you guys, you just talk, but you don't do anything. Now, I'm speaking about what I do personally as an individual. If all the families in Africa, for example, I'm speaking about Africa, not only Zimbabwe, in their rural homes, we've got a lot of land. Some are fighting for urban land. Urban land is actually useless. It was created mainly for workers. But we've got a lot of land in rural areas. I know in Zimbabwe they may say, but even though there is no electricity and water, we now have technology that can make you to be self-sufficient in terms of electricity. There is solar power. It is working magic. Where I'm staying, I'm using solar power. I can cook, I can everything. When you come into my house, you will think I'm using electricity from the government. No, I'm using solar power. And this is what I'm also planning to do at home. This business, I will transfer it at home because there is a lot of actually land there. And our climate, especially at home, is very, very good for this kind of business. These chickens, they will do massively. there is high probability at home you can receive maybe 200 chickens and feed them properly, and after 6 weeks all of them are fully grown. No any other chicken dies, you know. That is what is happening. That is what is supposed to happen, especially in a. I've procured land myself, a very very big land. I'm working on it. Very soon you will see. I think I'll take one of the. I have pictures so far. I've cleared that land, and I'm looking forward there to install solar systems and have my own boreholes, have my own tap, treat my own water in rural areas. Is to treat my own water, and then have my own system. Have also, this is one of the businesses that I will be doing. I'll be also doing kekli ranching. I'll also I'll be keeping as well as my goats, because I have in Africa we neglect especially farming. Now look how the currency works. Any other currency, look how it works. Now I'm speaking about a government. In order for your government to receive foreign currency and have foreign reserves, for example like US dollar, to strengthen its currency, they have to have something that they are selling. I'll make an example from where I'm coming from. For example, in Zimbabwe at the moment, we don't have anything that we are selling except for minerals that we are mining, and there is no accountability there. There is a lot of corruption. I'm not only talking about minerals, but I'm talking about in terms Zimbabwe has good arable land, agricultural land that can produce both in our winter as well as also in all seasons. We can actually produce any kind of crop in Zimbabwe, especially if we harness technology. But unfortunately, that is why Ian Smith, even facing global sanctions, such as sanctions from the United Nations, was able to maintain one of the best economies. Without the support from the United Nations, without foreign aid, without investments from Europe, why did he manage to do that? It is because he realized that Zimbabwe had good agricultural land, created policies that made it a point that the white farmers were able to farm. In Zimbabwe, just imagine, recently a number plate, you were paying something like, they wanted you to pay something like $500. $500. That's a lot of money. They reduced it to $50. It is still a lot of money. And in fact, number plates should not even be produced by government. It should be produced by people. The government would be taxing those people so that there is competition in terms of production of number plates and quite a number of things, you know. This issue of nationalization, it will create these people called Ziganandas, and the economy will always be behind. So, you see, just imagine in Zimbabwe, if everybody in rural, if you look in most of the rural areas, it's just now homes. There is no production. People are buying milli-mill in urban cities, and no one is producing, but production is quite less at the moment. Africans have stopped producing, and the reasons being is climate change. But look at how other countries have played around with climate change. Climate change is not only affecting Africa, it is also affecting the Western world, but they are producing, irregardless, producing surplus. That is why they are able to sell. They're able to also, and if you are selling, which means you get foreign reserves, your currency remains strong. It cannot, look at a country like Russia, it is producing a lot. It is producing a lot. That is why the sanctions that have been imposed on Russia, the effects, and the anticipation was that the effects were going to be huge, but they are not that much huge. Even if China is to be sanctioned, it won't be that much affected. But look at Africa, what we are busy doing. I sometimes I cry for my beloved country. If I can be a president only for 2 days, I think you will see, create policies that will enable people to bring the much needed machinery to produce especially these chickens, and not to be donating machinery like what ZANU-PF is doing. People should be in a position to actually create their own capital and inject it into the economy. Not a scenario whereby you create dependence. You only create policies to actually tax, and you don't tax too much. You tax less. The more you tax less, you are encouraging more Africans to actually enter into the business sector and help in terms of transforming the economy. So I hope this language is heard clearly. So the reasons, reason, I won't speak about others. In fact, I know issues of economy. I went to school for that. Now, if in Africa we want to actually survive issues like economic sanctions, our political leaders, they are always boasting, lambasting these Western countries, but they have not developed mechanisms. And even what Mnangagwa, for example, in Zimbabwe is busy doing, always giving funds to people who don't even deserve them, and these funds disappear within a period of weeks. It's lack of a strategy and misunderstanding how economy actually basically work. This is not how you can transform the economy of a nation. How you can transform the economy of a nation: introduce policies that will make sure that there is agricultural productivity. There is a massive investment, and not investment done by white people, investments done by locals. For example, at the moment, look at the taxing system. If you are keeping animals in the rural areas, if you are building your homes, it's too much. It discourages people from actually coming back home and making the necessary investments, because if I have my cattle, then I have to be paying a lot of taxes to keep those cattle. But that is stupidity, in my view. But some of the things you should not tax, especially agricultural products, in my view. Especially at the producing stage. You shouldn't. Maybe when someone is selling, that is where you tax. Not for keeping. Like it becomes a crime for me to keep chickens. Then you want to tax each chicken. If you are selling it 100 rand, then you should give me 10 rand out of that chicken. Do you think people will produce? They will never produce. But if you are taxing people who are selling, for example, these chickens, I will eventually sell them. And when I sell them, I put the money in the bank, it is taxed, and I buy inputs with that particular money. I'm also equally taxed. You're getting the sense? So, and also depending on how much in terms of profit I received, I'll be taxed. That is, and the taxes have to be reasonable, especially in economies like African economies, to encourage black people to enter into the economy and start producing at a small scale and eventually grow from there. But that is not there. That does not exist. I hope my brothers and sisters are learning something. But I'm encouraging people, especially if you're in a foreign land, let's invest more at home. Let's build our rural areas. Let's put the much needed infrastructure. I think I will do another just video to show you the power of solar energy, how it can actually transform our rural homes and transform our subsistence as well as commercial agriculture, and how we can actually get to produce and be competitive, especially as the African continent, because at the moment we are not competitive. We have been reduced. Even now we are at artificial, we are looking at AI. We are in the fourth industrial revolution. We have never, in fact, fourth industrial revolution, we have not participated. We are moving towards AI. We have not actually, we are not yet there. Others are setting pace for us. In fact, we are still left behind. We are yet to industrialize our economies before we can actually participate in other industrializations that are taking place because of the kind of political leadership that we have. These things are actually being done in conferences, and the people will be sleeping in those conferences. Afterwards, they eat money. It ends there. They are not even implementers. Some of those who will be teaching you about the fourth industrialization, they don't even do such things. We want people who will be actually taking visuals, teaching people from what they do, so that people can see that this thing is doable, and they do it. So very soon, I think I'll be showing you some. Already the people are doing something there in my rural home. We've bought a stand. We are in the process of fencing that stand. Very soon I'll be constructing a big house there. And then from there I'll be doing crawls for, in fact I will start doing places where I can keep my chickens, both road runners as well as broiler chickens. Also, I think the people are not showing interest. If people were showing interest in these programs, I was going to be actually inspiring people a lot. Even how we can actually, some of you, if you start these things, you will see that there is no need for you to work. You will be making a lot of money. For example, one of the business that I'm looking forward to make a lot of money, it is the business of pigs. You know, a pig actually can, in lack of a better words, can actually give birth twice a year, and not less than 12 piglets a pig. So just imagine if you start with 5, and then let's say all of them, they give birth to about not less than 10. So you've got around 50. By the year end, you've got around, if they do it twice, you've got around 100. And next year, if those ones also grow, just imagine the number and the money you would be making. And you get an international certificate to sell anywhere in the world. Thank you very much. I think I have to stop there. If you're watching us for the first time, please do